Hi, my name is Reed Silverne. The name of this show is Fed Pride. The reason it's called Fed Pride is because I'm a federal worker and I'm proud of it. Nobody in my agency, no public affairs officer, nor major official of my agency has received a copy of what I'm going to say today, because even I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. Today is going to be a little bit different from my previous shows, because I usually don't open up the phones and I don't ask people to call me. I've found it very, very difficult to try to work the phones and to take care of the show itself, because my show pretty much depends on a flow of conversation and a constant monologue. But today I'll make an exception of it, and I don't know if anybody will call or anybody will bother, because I'm going to talk about the debate yesterday. Bob Dole and Bill Clinton had their first initial debate. It's a key moment in the campaign, a key moment in American history, not that anybody seems to be noticing, because if Bob Dole can turn this thing around, he might be able to pull out a win, because up to now, the latest tracking poll from this weekend is 54% for Clinton, only 38% for Dole, or 36%, 18% lead for Clinton going right into the last month of the campaign. As a matter of fact, nobody who has been ahead by 5 points or more has ever, or 10 points or more, has ever lost the election if they've been ahead on Labor Day. So Labor Day was already a couple weeks ago, and Clinton's not only 18 points ahead on Labor Day, he's, or somewhere between 15 and 20. He's still 18 points ahead as of the day before the debate. So the debate is on, and I have a few comments about it. And basically the comments that I'm about to make go back to my experience right over here on this show, and seeing how it is and what it's like to sit in front of a camera and try to talk to people when there's nobody there. And it's not as easy as you think. The opportunity to get on television and to say your piece in front of whoever is going to watch a potential of 60,000 homes is really fantastic. I don't think anybody can deny that. It's really an amazing opportunity. And one of the things I've mentioned to people, I've told people, hey, I have a public access TV show. I can get on TV and say what I want to anybody that'll listen and be on the air. There's a TV character who thought that television was more real than reality. And while that's not true, clearly, a lot of people feel it is. I mean, they look on television, they see Roseanne, they see Dan Rather, they see Jennings and all the other people, all the other micro-celebrities. And it really does seem like there's another world out there, a world that's more interesting and more crystal clear than the humdrum day-to-day world that we all live in. And that world is television, and it opens up a light, onto other places and other things. But it also brings people, makes some people smaller than life and other people larger than life. Certainly some politicians who are very, very good at television are larger than life. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And probably the person that fixed my view of what a politician is like and what a politician can be is Ronald Reagan. He was able to get up on TV and talk right out there. It was just like when he was on television, when he was making a speech, it was just like he was really there. He was in my room. He was talking to me. He could really just look right through that camera and communicate. And I think that's might be an unnecessary skill in order for somebody to be a wonderful statesman and a fantastic president and a great policy wonk. But the way things are and the medialized world that we live in, there's no doubt about it. A politician has to be able to communicate through that camera and walk and step right into the living room along with everybody that's watching. Sometimes a living room, sometimes an even more intimate surrounding the bedroom. People have televisions in every single room of their house and even out in the back porch and in their children's rooms. So it's just amazing how intrusive this particular medium is. And of course, we have all kinds of new media coming in. There's the internet, which is a little bit more distant, and in some ways a little closer because you can communicate directly and chat directly with people. But the ultimate step of the internet, which hasn't happened yet, is that people are going to be able to broadcast television over it once the whole system is wired up with fiber optic lines or T1 lines, so you can get a tremendous amount of data, digitalized data to go through. And sure enough, you'll have 1,000 radio stations, TV stations, and maybe 1 million TV stations instead of only one. Just like today, anybody can publish anything they want and put out the equivalent of a little newsletter or a magazine that can be open to any one of 20 million viewers, but only 20 or 30 or sometimes 50 or 100 actually tune in, called hits. So how does this get down to the debate? I watched the debate myself. I missed everything. I saw everything but the first 15 minutes. I really regret that. Unfortunately, I read selections from the paper about it. But I noticed a couple things about the two candidates and how they came across and who came across better and who came across worse. And I absolutely feel, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me, especially Republicans, and I'm a moderate Republican myself, that Clinton came over much better. The reason I thought he came over much better is because he was looking into the camera, he was talking to the person on the other side, and even when the camera wasn't just focused directly on him, when it wasn't his turn to speak, he was still looking into the camera. And Dole, I noticed, kind of looked like this, and he kind of looked down, quite looking into the camera. And he may have been looking into what he thought it was a camera, or he may have been looking at the person that he was supposed to be dealing with and talking to, Lair, the news person. But he didn't look like he was relating directly to the people on the other side. And then between takes, when he wasn't actually communicating, when he wasn't actually speaking, and it was Clinton's turn to speak, he turned away from the camera and he glared at Clinton. He went like this. And I saw that over and over and over again. And it was just amazing. I don't know why his handlers didn't, shake him up and say, look, that camera is going to be on you whether you're speaking or not. And if you go glaring off to the side, it's not going to look quite as good. And I think that he missed a lot. I think that he missed the base in that case. And I don't know why he did that. Now, why is that important? The very next day, they did a poll of who won the debate. And, of course, in my opinion, I don't think anybody won the debate as far as the points they made. They both dealt with the issues. They dealt with drug abuse. They dealt with character. They dealt with Medicare. They dealt with the budget. They talked about the things that they were supposed to talk about. They didn't just trash each other's love life or go on about the latest scandal or trash each other's records. There was a little of that, but I don't think that dominated the debate. I think they were both trying to act presidential, which is pretty good because they're going to be one of those people who are going to be our president. And I don't know which one, but right now it's still looking like Clinton. Now, we're not going to see how the debate plays out for a couple more days because it takes a couple days for the tracking polls to catch up. And just like the bounce from the convention, where Dole went up to only 10 points apart, that could happen again. This race could narrow up, and it should narrow up because a basic 40% Republican constituency out there, and I'm pretty sure that Dole has got it. And if there's a 40% Republican constituency and a 40% Democratic constituency approximately, those 20% in the middle that are flipping back and forth, some of whom are weakly for Clinton, some of whom haven't really taken a good solid look at Dole, could switch. And it could come down to the 5, 6, 7 points apart that the 1992 election was. Much, much closer than it's been up to now. And then, of course, it would be a real battle, and the second debate would work it out. The other alternative is that nothing can change. One of the polls said that even though 79% of the people said that, who were polled, said that Dole did better than expected, better than they expected, and came across better than they expected him to come across in the debate. 97% of the people in the same poll said whatever happened in the debate isn't going to change their opinion and their vote one bit. And that seems to be how that's coming along and how that's working out. So it's hard to say how that's going to work. I noticed a couple things in the debate. They have a couple things in USA Today about the debate. And one thing that was interesting, of course, everybody's down on these focus groups and how, where they take 30 people in a room and they people have a little dial, and the dial can go 0.5 negative or 0.5 positive, and they're busy going positive or negative as they watch that particular individual relating to them over the television set. It's a very, very popular way of measuring things. I'm sure a lot of good ideas have been completely trashed and turned off because of a focus group like that. They just happened to get 20 people who just hated something, when in fact it might have been very, very popular and it might have been a good idea. So who knows how many wonderful new laws or positions got completely trashed because they picked 20 people at random who just hated it that day or had a bad day. But the theory is that 20 people picked at random represent a much, much, much larger universe. And that's the theory behind polling. That's the theory behind focus groups. That's the theory behind the whole thing. So it's hard to say how that'll work out. Dole did, however, use some humor. He looked like a human being. He came across like a real person. I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. One of the things he said when he was talking about the $548 billion tax cut, and there was a big point of contention, Dole said, I want the government to pinch pennies for a change instead of pinch the American families. That's a pretty good line. There's no doubt about it. And he had a couple other good lines throughout the whole thing. I did notice, I'm a federal worker, that there was some Fed bashing in here and some federal government bashing in the process. Clinton said, I believe the federal government should give people the tools and try to establish conditions in which they can make the most of their lives. So that wasn't too negative on the federal government. But Dole came out and he had some remarks, mostly against taxes and very often against the federal government and feds in general. He said, they talk about the family income being up. It's up in some cases where both parents are working. One works for the family and one works to pay taxes for the government. And of course, that's a government bash if I've ever heard one. Are the American people? They're working harder and paying more taxes. For the first time in history, you pay about 40% of what you earn. And I'm not sure that that's true with the average family. Average family pays about 15% in federal income tax. They do, however, pay a very, very high payroll tax, which I've talked about in the past. But that payroll tax is capped at $65,000, which means a millionaire only pays a half or a quarter percent payroll tax. So the entire burden's been shifted down to the middle class. So the solution to that, in my opinion, is easy and would probably solve the Social Security problem. Uncap the payroll tax. Let the wealthy pay a full 7.5%, just like the middle class person does. Or if there's too much money and it really brings up and saves Social Security and then some, then why don't you reduce the Social Security payroll tax for everybody to make up for it? And that's one alternative. Of course, business as a whole would have to pay more because the CEO's salary is $1 million. Business would have to match the 7.5% of the whole $1 million instead of just up to the cap. So Dole tried to really pin the president in a couple things, and especially on the drug policy. And there was a question about pardons and pardoning the Whitewater defendants who've been convicted, Susan and Susan McDougal and Mr. McDougal. And Clinton came out there, and he basically said, there's been no consideration of it, no discussion of it. And I'll tell you this, I'll not give anyone special treatment, and I will strictly adhere to the law. Well, that's a pretty general statement. I don't think anybody has too much of a problem with that. It's not like he was going out there and saying, anybody who's ready to talk about me, I'll give them a pardon so that they'll be held harmless for the rest of their lives. Dole snapped back, and he said, the president shouldn't have any comment at all, particularly where it's someone where you've had a business dealing with. I mean, you might be sending a signal. And he said, when somebody asks you about pardons, Mr. President, you should say no comment, period. So Clinton said no comment. And that was one of the big funny lines that Clinton had that kind of jumped out there at every. And so one thing I wondered, and the phone number is 629-0625 or 629-0708. Is there anybody out there who cares to call in and comment on the debate, and who they think won, who they think lost, are more than welcome to, and I will take their calls. I haven't made a habit of taking calls. I know people are used to just hearing me just go on and come up with a 25-minute dialogue, and it's certainly telling me that anybody who does watch probably prefers the monologue because nobody's coming in. Oh, here's a call right now. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Fed. Hello?
Hello?
Fed.
Can you hear me now?
Fed.
And what's your point?
Oh, okay. It's working?
Yeah, it's working
oh,
now.
All righty.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I just wanted to say that Clinton rocked the world in the debate last night. Dole was stumbling. He couldn't find his words. He just seemed completely unprepared. And I think Clinton was he was pretty good. Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
And, oh, wait. Hello?
Yep.
I was just wondering also if you could just, duck down so I could see what that sign behind you says.
Oh, it says direct dialogue.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I'm pretty new to the phone, so I really appreciate you calling in.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fed.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, Mr. Bride.
Right. Oops. Oops. Okay. Yeah. All right. This is, as you can see, pretty new to me, and I seem to have a second call. Hello, you're on the air. Oh, okay, nothing came through that time. And let's try this one more time. If it doesn't work, that's it. Hello, you're on the phone. Hello, you're on the phone.
Fed?
Yes. Okay. Did you still want to talk? All right, thank you. All right, well, that's my new experiment and working the phones. I have to admit it's not as easy as I thought it was. Anybody else who wants to call and comment on the debate, please call me and let's try it. Meanwhile, I'll go back into my my usual monologue and talk about some of the things that happened and some of the comments that were made. Like I said before, one of the things that really caught me was the handling of the camera by the two candidates. And a lot of people might think that, boy, what an irrelevant thing to bring up. But in fact, it's really very important. And how people handle the media has a lot to do with what their job is going to be when they do become president, because they have to lead the entire United States. And they have to lead the people in it. And the way to communicate with the people is through television, through the radio, and through the media, one way or the other. If you mishandle the media, you get caught in whitewaters and who knows what else they bring up, and they jump on tiny little things and just use that dig kind of thing to destroy a presidency. And we've seen it over and over again. We saw it with the hostage crisis. We saw it where Nightline was created. Anybody who likes that TV show the way I do. We seem to have another line open, and let's see if somebody's calling. You're on the air.
Yeah, can you clarify Clinton's stance on HMOs?
I don't believe that Clinton is against HMOs. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the original Clinton plan, and one of the problems that I had with the original Clinton plan is that basically he was going to create a guaranteed national for a certain set of insurance companies and HMOs who could fill this basic small package. And yeah, and there's no doubt about it that almost all the HMOs could have provided these particular packets. And it seems to me that the insurance companies made a big mistake because they could have had a guaranteed market of the entire population of the United States.
Guaranteed market.
Guaranteed market.
Yeah, totally monopolized.
Yeah, totally monopolized by 40 or 50 different companies that could come up with this
choices.
plan. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's it. No other choices. That's it.
Well, actually, he was supposed to open it up to everybody who could come up with this plan, but the plans were set, so it seemed like the larger insurance companies and the HMOs were the ones that could fit it.
So I don't understand what the insurance companies have to do with the homos.
Oh, yeah. HMOs is health insurance. It has nothing to do with the homos. But that's a good comment.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I like homos. Homos like me.
Okay, have a good one.
All right.
Okay, that was a good call, and I'm learning a little bit about handling different people with different comments. That was cute and quite funny. And everybody knows that an HMO is an organization that's designed to provide low-cost health care. It's like an insurance company, but it actually limits the amount of money that insurance companies can pay. And this particular setup is really quite amazing because the person behind this desk can not only handle the phones, he can also switch cameras and he can relate back. So if anybody wants to call and talk about the debate, you're welcome to. I apologize if there's a little bit of feedback. I have to coordinate two different lines, and I'm learning a lot. We have another call. Hello, you're on the air.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who are you going to vote for?
I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those people who's kind of in the middle. I've been leaning toward Clinton, I have to admit, because he has a tendency to bash the feds a little less than Dole does. But to be very honest with you, I've been a Republican since 1980, since Reagan first ran, and so I'm kind of caught in the middle. Where are you at on that?
How come? I don't know. So, what are you more for, education or HMO? What's so funny?
Well, we've been on the subject of HMOs today. I'm personally a little bit more toward education than HMOs particularly. I'm not dead set against HMOs. I think that they're just one alternative for health care.
Are you involved in education as a profession?
No, but I would like to be. I taught a college class at one time in my life, and I really enjoyed it. And I kind of, think of myself in an educational role even on this show.
Is your name Fed Pride or Reed Silverne?
My name is Reed Silverne. Fed Pride's the name of the show.
Fed Pride?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you much for calling. I really appreciate that. Okay, anybody who wants to comment, and we have 42 seconds to go. I'm at 629-0686, and it really is a pleasure to use the phones. I'm going to try to do this a little bit more in the future. My name is Reed Silverne. I'm glad that somebody asked that question so that I can make that very clear. And the name of the show is Fed Pride. The reason it's called Fed Pride is because I'm a federal worker, and I'm proud of it. And I really appreciate your tuning in to the show, and I appreciate the people over here at Access Tucson for giving me the chance to be on TV and express my opinion. Thank you very much. Bye.